Hello everyone, welcome. My name is MJ Pestridge. Welcome to another P3D video. Today we're talking all about AI traffic and how you can get AI into your simulator now that the FLII has sort of gone down and gone under. How do we deal with AI traffic, either if you're on VATSIM or if you're offline and you want to see, planes in the air and you don't use, programs like Ultimate Traffic Live or Traffic Global. How do you get free AI planes, low deliveries into your sim with very little FPS hit? Well, I'm going to show you exactly that now, okay, step by step, using the old Alpha India group package that with their one-click installer, which, by the way, guys, it ain't a one-click installer. It's not an easy install either. You have to babysit it. It takes all day if you want to do it fully. But, unfortunately, with FLII going down, that was the easiest way to do it. You just run the FLII installer, it installed everything, and you didn't have to do anything. And it updated itself pretty easy every time you open the program. Whereas AIG Manager is a bit different. So basically I'm going to go through with you step by step exactly how to do it. Now, I had it installed into my system. I've now since removed it just so I can show you guys how to install it. So I'm going to put the link up to this page here on the Alpha Indie Group website. You do kind of have to log in and register, but their latest installer, like as of recording this video, it's 1.23. That might change, but basically go to their latest installer and download it. Now, I've already downloaded it, so I won't download it here, but you can choose a location anywhere on your PC. But hear this, right? If you want to install every single livery, it's about 66 gig worth of data. So make sure you've got at least 70 gig free to the location you're going to install it. Now, it doesn't have to be in your add-ons download documents folder. It doesn't have to be inside your simulator. In fact, I install it on my D drive. So I install it here on my D drive in P3D, in prepared add-ons, utilities, and I've actually created a folder called AIG Manager, and that's what I recommend you do. Don't name it with the version number afterwards. You can either just call it AIM if you wanted to, but I've called it this, which is basically taking the first bits of that, and just download it, and that's all you really got to do. It's as easy as that, and you'll get this zip file that's about 8 megabytes in size, and that's it. You're ready to install the program. So all you have to do is right click on the WinZip file here and extract here, and it'll basically barf out all these files here. Now, there is a tutorial, there is a manual. I followed it. I didn't find it straightforward and easy, which is why I'm doing this video, because I found it a bit painful. I didn't realize what was going on or what I had to do. It's not clear. So let's go through it step by step. So I basically have already, as I say, uninstalled AIG from my PC, and we're good to go with a fresh installation. Now, before we begin, one thing you're going to want to do is go into your back office of Windows here. Go into Updates and Security, go into Windows Security, and click on the Virus and Threat Protection, and scroll down to Virus and Threat Protection Settings and untick real-time scanning. Make sure it's turned off. You don't want your back end of your PC interfering with the installation of AIG right now. So make sure you do that before you run the installer. Also, run your simulator. Make sure your simulator is also running perfectly first before you go to install this, because if this messes up, you won't actually know if it's your sim that was already messed up or if the installation for AIG has gone astray. So boot up your sim first, make sure that is running clean, and then we can begin. So first thing we want to do is just right click and run as administrator, and it'll basically start the installation process by asking you which version of the sim do you want to use. Well, we're using P3D version 5, so I'm going to click OK, and then it's going to run through a whole setup of configuration. It's going to basically scan your sim for all the airports and all the airplanes that you've got loaded in to your sim. So this process might take like 5 or 10 minutes depending on the speed of your PC. Just let it run its course until you get to the next menu. Now, one thing to note as well, if this task manager, you look in your task manager, if this ever hits 100% CPU usage, it basically means that and stays there, like set on 100 for like a few seconds, it basically means the AI manager has stalled and has hung and won't actually do anything else. It'll look like it's doing something, but it actually has hung in the background. So what you need to do is kill the process for AI manager and restart AI manager from the folder. Now, you might even have to do this a few times, to be fair. You might find that it hangs quite frequently. Again, this is freeware software. This isn't tried and tested on different systems to be working 100%. So if you do come across the problem where your CPU maxes out to 100%, and it's basically AIG that's just taken the majority of it, first off, make sure there's nothing else running. Make sure that you've got no other programs like Discord or anything running that could also be getting in the way for AIG Manager to be working. And if it does hang, all you have to do is basically end the task, make sure it has gone completely from your task manager, and then restart the program. Now, if it happens to be hanging on the airports bit, one thing you can do is go into your AIM folder, go into your resources folder, go into AIM, and remove this folder, this file here, the add-ons airports version 2, and then run the program again, and then come back and put this file back in and run it again, and you might find that it actually sort of trips out of the stuck in the loading the airports or something. But just remember, it's scanning all these files, guys. It's scanning your P3D CFG files. So if you've got a lot of airports installed, if you've got a lot of add-ons installed, it's got to collect information first before you can actually install everything correctly. So just give it time, guys. That's basically it. One thing I also found to note as well is that if you have add-ons in your P3D add-ons folder here, if you have any airports that are sitting in your add-ons section, it can increase the likelihood chance that there might be an error in the installation process. Really, until you get to this screen here where it says you've got one in this, and you click OK, it might still bug out. So I would recommend, if you do have trouble installing this into your system, remove all your add-ons out of this folder, out of your Documents P3D version 5 add-ons folder. Just remove it completely to your desktop or to a separate folder, and then run the installer, because if this thing hangs, it doesn't tell you about it. It just sort of maxes out your CPU usage, and then that's it, and it's no good then, and it can freeze your PC as well. So what you've really got to do is basically restart your PC. But if you like I said before, if you ever see this hitting 100%, the program has hung for one reason or another, and it could be that there's faulty flight plans within your simulator from an add-on that you've got installed. So just remove your add-ons and you might find that this runs better. Now, basically, when you get to this screen here, it's not very clear what you have to do next, and there is a manual to follow here, tells you how to set things up. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go to the settings folder, which is this here. Now, one thing you've got to do is kind of make sure everything's set up correctly. So sort of the top tab here, making sure that that is the location of your simulator. We want to make sure that we're actually logged in here. So basically click that, open this, and make sure you're actually logged in. Okay, so once we've logged in there, we can close that off. We've now logged in, that's fine. Flight plans here. Make sure that this is set to 1% and 99%. So basically, it'll always load your traffic, you know. So basically, this is the percentage slider of your traffic when you're not online. If you set it to say 20%, you know, it will load so much traffic in, and all your flight plans can be set to a certain amount. I mean, if you just say minimum activity 1%, maximum 99%, if you set it to max out 100%, it'll load everything. You know, if you set it to only load, this is basically how you can configure exactly what's going to load into your sim for performance reasons. That's it really. Also, with this section here, you want to make sure that the current path is set up. So basically, we just make sure that the image tool here is set to the SDK kit. So we need to go point this. So obviously you need to have the SDK kit installed, which just installs into the location of your sim here, SDK, and it's asking for the image tool directory. There it is, image tool, and select. There we go. And obviously now the OCI directory. So now this is basically where you're going to have all your liveries installed to. Now, for me personally, I just select the folder that we've selected before. So add-ons, utilities, and then literally I click on AIG manager, and that's it. And so it now creates a new folder here, AIG AIM OCI, and you know, within the structure of here, it's going to create that folder, which is where all my liveries are going to be installed. So let's see here, use freeware only. Yep, ATC file, do not use Orbex. That is basically it. So that's set up now. Click on setup. Now, you may come across times when it just seems to hang, you know, and doesn't do anything, and it's just not responding. And the only way to resolve this, like I said before, is to kill the process and just start it again. For some reason, this program is the buggiest program I've ever come across, and yet it works even though it's so buggy. So if you do come across where it doesn't do anything, just shut it down and start it again. It will pick itself up from where it left off, funnily enough. So, you know, don't worry about it. Okay, moving on. The final section here is the cookies. Basically here, you want to make sure these say logged in for all three: Alpha India Group Forum, AvSim, and FlightSim. It gets its models from these locations, so you really want to make sure you have an account with these people. You know, if you haven't, go register now, and B, you're actually logged in, and log in through here as well, because you want this to say logged in, so it's as least painful process to install all of this as possible, because it really can be quite painful. Okay, now what we've got basically here, the image tool location here, we've got the general settings tool there. We don't need to worry about payware. We're not going to be using payware at all. We're all going to be using free stuff here. So now that we've got all of this correct, okay, we can now save and close. Okay, so basically once we have now done all that and save and closed it, it literally is, like it says, a one-click installer, although you've got to babysit it. All you have to do is go to online and check online, you know, when I first did this, I selected about 20, you know, to start with. And that took about 2 hours to install just those 20 airlines. And then I went back at a later date and sort of selected another 20 because I found things weren't showing up as much as, I'd like, you know. Okay, so once that's done, it says done collecting all the information, go to online and go to available online, and you'll get this pop up. Now, this is basically it. There are 1,168 liveries or airlines that are available for installation. Now, if you want, you could basically click on that and then choose them all, okay, which is what I'm going to do right now. Or if you want to, you could literally select which ones you want, okay? So multi-selection and then go, right, we will have this, we'll have that, we'll have that. By holding down the control key, you can select which ones. If you just want to install one, you can go to the one you want, say Aer Lingus, and then click download or install, and it'll do that. We're going to do it all, okay? So basically that, OCI bulk, click that. And now we begin the installation. Now this is downloading all the liveries from this particular thing and installing it into the sim. Now, sometimes it will say, can't do it, or you need to get involved. You need to save the file to location and then pick it up, and then it will continue. You have to babysit this whole process. There is no way around being able to not sitting at your PC. Like, you can't just let this run overnight. It's going to take hours, by the way, to do them all. It's literally going to take all day, okay? And you have to be at your PC the entire time to do it successfully, okay? Like, as you can see right now, it seems to be doing a okay job at automatically installing these things. We're only on the first airline here. Do you know what I mean? But it's going to come to a point where it's going to ask me to save the file of a location and then go and activate that. And you don't know what airlines this is going to be. Again, it's going to install 66 gigs worth of information. So make sure you have that free space available. And basically, just be patient. And we're going to come back to this when there's like an interruption to the process. Okay? So I'll see you in a bit. One thing to note as well, in the process of this one-click installation, if it hangs or crashes or, says not responding for any number of reasons. Now, it might say not responding, but it might actually still be doing something, like just that it continued, even though it said not responding. So if it says not responding for like a minute or more, then it most likely has crashed and it has hung to the point where, just literally kill the process in Task Manager, right? And then restart the application again. Go through to the point to where you get to this point here where, move that out of the way, this window here, and start to reinstall. Now you'll find that it won't actually say 1,168 because you've already installed so many. It'll pick it up right where it left off. It'll probably say something like 1,100 because you've already installed like 68 airlines or something, So literally just continue on by clicking, if we move that out of the way, by clicking the multi-selection OIC bulk, and then it'll continue where it left off until you have installed everything. Once you have installed everything, then you're good to go. Basically, that is it. You don't need to do anything else. Probably what I would recommend is maybe once a month rerunning this AI manager to see what changes have happened in the liveries. But just remember, guys, like, I'm running 1.23. Now, when I first installed this, it was actually 1.21. You might be running 1.30, 40, 50, whatever the number may be. Each one of these versions is slightly different. There are things that are broken in every fix. There are fixes that are done in every update. So just remember, like, this isn't a properly produced or properly made piece of software. This is a freeware utility made by the community effectively, so it ain't gonna run like the PMDG Operations Center for instance, or the Orbex Central app, you know. But for all intents and purposes, this is a similar type of software. It's a one-stop shop for all your AI paints and liveries that is kind of done automatically. You don't have to worry about things. The only thing it really doesn't support is retro liveries, retro planes, unless somebody's done a paint for it and attached it to a model. You won't be getting old style liveries that you can only showcase in. Okay, so at some point in installation, you're going to come to this pop-up. Now, again, depending on which version you run, you might not actually come to it. And what it's actually doing is that it's saying that there's an exclusive flight plan to AIG FP. It can't be really compiled, so you need to download it and save it separately. So obviously you want to click yes. And then it'll continue. And this is kind of where the one-click installation thing doesn't really happen. Now, during the setup, this is going to pop up as well. It's not able to download the file automatically, and you've actually got to step in and do it. So click OK, and basically it's going to, open up a browser, which it has done here. And basically you just start the download and just point it to anywhere on your PC. It doesn't really matter where. I just stick them in downloads, to be fair. Just pop them in there, save it to there, and then this, once that's done, we can close that out and then click OK, and it'll pop up to say, hey, where are we going to go find that download? And you basically just go click on it, click open, and the installation will continue as normal. And this is why it's not a one-click installer, because that can happen quite a few times, especially if you're doing everything. That's going to happen frequently, and you just don't know when it's going to happen. Now, once it's gone through the entire alphabet of liveries of airlines, it's now going to go through again and check itself. So you're going to think, oh gosh, it's starting again, but it isn't. Just leave it, because it's actually checking to make sure it hasn't missed any. If you've done all of them, it actually goes back around a second time to make sure that if there was a faulty install, it's actually corrected. And if you have not been able to download any of the files like we did earlier, you'll get a second chance. And always, you can always rerun the installer anyway, but basically what it's doing now is it's going back over and checking all the repaints to make sure that everything is as is. Now, when it's done that second check, basically it's going to have finished, and you're going to be left at that other screen, which, if we go to here, looks like this, basically where there's nothing else. I mean, this one, it's not installed, but I mean, even if installing this, it makes no difference. Clearwater Fine Foods, I ain't bothered about that. So now the next process is to look here where it says status and make sure that they all say OK. So literally just scroll down. If there's one that says outdated or defunct, then just run the installer again. But basically all of these ones have been installed and they're all OK. Now, as you can see here, there's some boxes here that don't have tick boxes in. But I mean, it looks like they're duplicates, to be honest. As long as they all do have that tick box, they all say OK, sorry, that's the main thing. Now that's basically it. You've done it. If you ever wanted to go check, you could just run a check online to make sure if there's been any changes to these flight plans. You know, I say like do this once a month maybe, and it will collect the online data, and then when that finishes, it will then go to online data collected or whatever it says, and then you can basically go to go online. So we click online, you go available online, and then it'll all come up here. Now, obviously, if there are any ones that weren't installed, as you can see, there's 39 here. And there's been some updates to them since I started to install this. By the way, guys, this video was made over 3 days. That's how long it's taken me to install all these. It's not an easy installation. But to be honest, out of all these, like ones that didn't get installed, I am not bothered about them. I mean, I'm not going to miss any of these. I mean, I'm very sorry, guys, but I'm not going to miss any of those airlines. The fact that I've got outdated Virgin Atlantic winter 2020, I ain't that bothered about either. For me, that's installed. Everything is done. All you've got to do is run the simulator, and you're all set up. It's done. And you can check to make sure it's in just by going to your add-on section, and you should find it in here. Here it is, AIG AIM AI Traffic. It's in there. It's ready to go. And it will work. The only thing you need to do if you're offline is make sure you got your airline traffic set to, you know, whatever level you want. Or if you're on VATSIM, just turn it off and you'll see all the models in the sim. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's been a long one, I know, but at least there's a easy way to understand how to install this very difficult software. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for subscribing. There's some more P3D videos coming up, and there's some more flights coming up as well. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.